Welcome to Deep Thought. How the spirit influences the body. Now, I'm gonna hit y'all with some deep stuff. Now, y'all really, people don't realize a lot of stuff I say may be deep, but I'm just scratching the surface. I'm gonna go a little bit deeper. Now, I probably talked about this on maybe one of my on-demand videos. I can't remember which one. But the spirit influences the body. Wait, hold on a second. Now, what do I mean by spirit? Your intangibles. Basically, your spirit actually tells the body what it's supposed to do. Now, of course, there's a DNA level. There's the DNA level of the spirit, of the body, you know. But the DNA, that's just really just potential. Now, what is spirit? What is spirit? It's the intangible stuff. It's how you think. It's how you do stuff. You know, it's the software program running the hardware program. Now, I'm gonna give a great example because, you know, I'm gonna use sex. I'm gonna use body development. I'm gonna use body development because, you know, people who follow my men's channel always know I always talk about the body. Now, say you have a young woman. She's born. We'll use the name April again. Now, I feel bad if there's somebody named April who follows this channel. But we'll use April again. No, you know what? Let's give it somebody else. We'll use May. We'll use May. You know. So May, by her DNA, by the DNA in her natural, if allowed full expression, she would develop into a very voluptuous woman. A very voluptuous woman. And like with the curves, everything, she would develop tall. She would stand tall, you know, healthy facial features, but mainly she would have, you know, nice full breasts, a slim waist, you know, nice, you know, a slim waist, you know, hips, childbearing hips, you know, nice legs, strong legs, everything. She will be built on a scale from 1 to 10. If her DNA is allowed expression, she would be a 12. However, the reality is she grew up and is considered a 3. Now, someone would say, well, how is this? It's in her DNA to be this other thing, but she's not. It's spirit. It's the intangible things. It's the thoughts that were put into her mind from the time she was a child. Now, she was born to 2 parents. The parents were fairly religious, almost strict. From the time she was born, could understand, she was told sex is evil. Sex is evil. Sex is wrong, and she's hammered this from the time she's a child. Now, she's taking this into her subconscious. So, around the time she hits puberty, she doesn't develop the curves because mentally, because of her indoctrination, negative indoctrination, you know, her hormones in response to her thoughts say, oh no, we can't pop those hips out on you, or pop those breastises out, you know. And then, you know, it's constantly reinforced. And then it's even beyond that program is reinforced because her father, who is her first imprint, who she models after, seems to have a distaste for women with brick house bodies. Even though he has some relatives who have brick house bodies. Because that's where the DNA for her brick house body would come from. But because of that, she develops a fear. It affects her hormones, how she develops and everything. So instead of developing into that brick house, she develops into that person with not only a slightly boyish figure, like more of a boyish figure, but also low self-esteem, how she carries herself, her energy. She's not as receptive to male energy because, well, she thinks sex is evil. So her body in response won't make her a beautiful person. That because a woman who A child, especially a young girl who naturally develops breast curves and everything, is going to get plenty of offers for sex. She's going to naturally attract. And that's a key part of it. Naturally attract. Understand, our body builds are there to naturally attract a person. That's part of the natural blueprint. That's the part of the natural blueprint. That's why in indigenous cultures, they didn't have as much of a problem with things like obesity or being underweight, because they understood the purpose. So people would develop naturally, and especially women, they would develop to attract a seed to them. It's just like, and this is a nature thing. Let me go off on a little tangent. Fruits develop to be plump and juicy to spread their seed. Because say it's a peach, a nice juicy peach. That peach fall off the tree. An animal comes and eat that peach, including the seed. It'll go someplace else, take a shit. That seed is put in another place. If it can take root, it'll grow into another tree. Thus, that tree reproduced itself. That's the whole point. But women are built a certain way to entice. And men are built a certain way to be enticed. It's all about the DNA. Understand that mating is about the DNA. That's the bottom line. That's the bottom line. So, I mean, anything else is some bull. Anything else is some bull. But that natural programming is affected by the spirit. Now, take that same woman. Let's go to the alternate timeline. Take that woman. And here's the case. Instead of having a religious indoctrination, her environment is more, the parents either they don't say anything. They're more open sexually. Like the parents could be swingers. I'm gonna use an extreme example. So they open sexually, and and they don't necessarily encourage her sexuality. They just don't repress it. So she grows up. If she asks questions about sex or something, they honest with her. They say, "Yeah, baby, that's it." They don't. Fear is not associated with it. Sex with her. So those fear hormones that go in there and might suppress her natural growth don't come in there. So when this version of May hits the more sexually open, she's up there. Now, they might tell her some stuff enough so she don't get some unwanted pregnancy. Might. A lot of times they don't. But, she gets up there. Her body's like, pow. Because nothing happened. She got the full breast. She's got a full body. And plus high self-esteem that can come with that. So, the guys are on her. The guys are on her out. But it's the spirit thing, and that's all it is. That's all it is. So it's like, if you can trace, like when I see people, I'm going to tell you what, I see them and I see how they behave. I can almost guess what the circumstances were with their upbringing. Now, of course, there's some, of course, people say, well, I've seen some very religious people or grew up in a strict environment and they were built, nice voluptuous body and everything. Or, they had an ideal thing. You don't know the whole story. Trust me. Trust me, because you don't know it. See, you seeing them at that time. You don't know how they were as a young person or anything. Or the nature of their DNA, because there's always degrees on how someone's going to receive information. And then, of course, it still play a part in their own personality. Like, you can raise two children. You can tell two kids the same thing. Like, say May had a sister named June. She has a sister named June. Now, while May was getting the religious indoctrination, the fear and all of that, June was getting it too, but she was a hard-headed little kid. She was a hard-headed little kid. She was like, I ain't listening to you. Because a big part of it is how much your spirit is going to receive what is being told. Some kids come out the womb very receptive, very good. and the other one come out like an alien. Any parent that's had 2 children will tell you that they gonna come out. They can look like twins, and they still gonna have different personalities. But see, that's a different thing. I need to talk about that. But even then, the spirit might influence it. Like with June, she's told the same thing, but it's still influencing her spirit. But just something in her temperament said, I don't care what they say. I'm gonna do what I want to do anyway. So, anyway, something to think about. That's it. That's it for today. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace and blessings.